You know how sometimes you see something totally ordinary, but it just clicks, and suddenly your whole perspective shifts? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. We're going to dive into a framework called container thinking, which all started with one of those moments. And believe me, it offers a really cool new way to look at your life, your projects, and, well, pretty much everything. This line from the theory's creator, Oliver Ding, really sets the mood, doesn't it? It makes you wonder, what could this simple experience possibly be that it could launch a whole intellectual project? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's probably not what you're expecting. So, what was this strange, everyday object? It sounds kind of weird, right? The entire origin story for this really deep theory starts with something you've seen 1,000 times, just probably never quite like this. Okay, so picture this. Oliver Ding is just walking through a supermarket, minding his own business, and he sees something that literally stops him in his tracks. It's a flower pot, but it's been knocked on its side, and the plants are growing out of it horizontally. Now, for most of us, that's just a messy display. But for him, it was a puzzle. It was a tiny moment that completely broke a basic rule he had in his head about how things are supposed to work. And that one little observation led to this huge insight. He realized a container isn't just about what's inside it. He saw 3 different spaces. You've got the inside space, the inside of the pot. You've got the outside space around it. But the real magic was in what he called the spilling space, that dynamic, messy area where the plant was actually living, bridging the gap between inside and out. So from there, he started building a new vocabulary. The pot itself, the boundary, that's the container. And the plant, the thing being held inside, that's the containee. It seems super simple, right? The holder and the held. But this basic idea becomes the building block for looking at everything from a massive work project to a personal relationship. But how does one idea about a tipped-over flower pot turn into a whole theory? Well, it definitely didn't happen overnight. It was a process. It grew, it changed, and it got refined over several years. You can actually see the journey of the idea right here. It starts out in 2019 as a practical toolkit. By 2020, it's a germ cell, like the little seed of a much bigger idea. Then it keeps expanding, tackling social stuff, and eventually it's planned to become this huge meta framework by 2025. This shows you it wasn't some static, dusty theory. It was alive and growing. And that whole process really shows off a key concept from the theory itself, gen identity. Just think of it like a person. You grow and change throughout your life, but your core identity, who you are, stays the same. It's the same idea here. Even as the theory got bigger and more complex, it never lost its DNA. That original insight from the flower pot is still right at the heart of it all. Okay, so we've got the origin story and we've seen how it evolved. Now, let's get to the good stuff. How does thinking this way actually help us spot and act on all the different kinds of opportunities that are floating around us all the time? To get this, we first need to touch on an idea from psychology called affordance. Now I know it sounds a little academic, but it's actually super simple. It's just about the potential actions that any object or environment naturally offers to us. The classic example is a chair. A chair's design just screams, sit on me, right? That's its affordance. A doorknob affords turning. A button affords pushing. These are the passive opportunities that the world just kind of presents to us. Now, this is where container thinking adds its own secret sauce. It introduces this brilliant, complementary idea called attachants. This is different. This isn't about what the world passively offers you. It's about the opportunities you actively create by attaching your own meaning and your own goals to things. Let's go back to our friendly chair. Physically, yeah, it affords sitting. But when you mentally attach the goal of getting work done to that chair, you totally transform it. It's not just a place to rest anymore. It's your office. It's your command center. You've just created a new opportunity with your own intention. That's attachants. And that's really just scratching the surface. The framework maps out this whole family of opportunities. There's supportance, which is basically the potential for help you can get from your social circle. Projectivity is that opportunity to start something new with a team. And curativity is that awesome chance to take a bunch of scattered ideas and weave them into a story that makes sense. Each one is a different kind of potential just waiting for you to tap into it. So, okay, we have all these powerful, connected ideas flying around. But how do you keep them all from becoming one giant, tangled mess? You need some kind of structure, a place to put everything. And just think about the scale of this for a second. We're talking about what amounts to 42 book drafts and a dozen huge themes, all interconnected. It's this massive web of knowledge. I mean, how could you possibly map all that out so it makes sense? The solution is actually a really powerful and beautiful metaphor. You build a tree of thoughts. The core ideas are the trunk, and every specific book or theme is its own branch, all growing from the same living system. And within this whole system, there's a really important distinction between a theme and a concept. A theme is personal, it's about your subjective experience of something, like what leadership means to you. A concept, on the other hand, is the objective textbook definition of leadership. This split allows the theory to be both deeply personal and academically solid. If the tree metaphor doesn't quite work for you, there's another one, the house of ecological practice. Think of it like a mental blueprint, where every big idea has its own room, and you can see how they all connect together under one roof. So after all this theory, all this history and structure, let's bring it right back home. What does any of this actually mean for you? How can you actually use it? Honestly, the best way to think about container thinking is as a mental operating system. It's like the underlying software running in the background of your brain that helps you manage all the different programs of your life way more effectively. Everything from a complex project to just your own personal growth. And just like any good OS, you can run different apps on it. For instance, you could run the Strategy app to look at your career as a container and find those spilling opportunities. Or you could run the Narrative app to reframe your life story based on all the different containers you've moved in and out of over the years. So how can you use this, like, right now? It's actually a pretty simple 3-step process. First, identify a container. Pick a key project or a big area in your life, your job, a hobby, whatever. Second, notice the spilling space. Look for the unexpected stuff, the side projects, the weird connections that are spilling out of it. And third, find the opportunity and act on it. That messy spilling area is where the opportunity is hiding. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Take a good look at your own life, your work, your passions, your goals. What are the invisible containers that are shaping your world? And maybe more importantly, what amazing opportunities are spilling out of them right at this very moment?